Good morning. Good morning to the honorable ministers of the council, members of the media, TV viewers, radio listeners via Tel TV, St. Martin Gov Radio, 107.9 FM, and respective radio stations island-wide. I am Erno Labega. I'll be taking over for Rolika this morning, and we'd like to welcome everyone to this live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, July 27th, 2022. At this time, I'd like to welcome Minister of Finance, Adwell Arian, for opening remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Labega. Welcome back. I understood you were once in charge of communications for government, so welcome back. Good morning to the Honorable Prime Minister. Good morning to the media. Good morning to the viewing public. I'd first like to start with some notifications for the Ministry of Rummy. Last week, I mentioned in regards to a tour going out for the Prince Bernard Bridge, which I also mentioned that is expected to be published on Monday. So the ministry is also expecting to receive some renderings for the public of what the design is supposed to look like. So as I mentioned last week, the idea is to have like a local point, a bird watching local point and so forth, and also plant back some plants and so forth, mangroves and so forth. So we could expect that the tour to be published on Monday for the Prince Bernard Bridge. Now I'll go over to finance. For the past few weeks, the Ministry of Finance has been organizing a contest in regards to the design of the license plate. I'm happy to announce the winner, which is Ms. Shadani Fleming, a local graphic designer who captured the hearts of many. I believe she had over 1.3 thousand likes. And she was awarded 1,000 guilders. We also had a meeting. We discussed the idea for the future of the plates. We also showed her the app that we have now, that is the prototype app that is developed to scan the QR codes and so forth. So we had a very fruitful meeting, and she was very proud of this moment, this historical moment, I would say. And it is the first time that has ever been done in regards to the participation of the public when it comes to license plate. And now we're also now starting to proceed with the purchase of the license plates. That process will now continue, and to have it hopefully ready on time for the top of the year. I believe that is all we have today for Finance and the Ministry of Rummy, and I look forward to the questions from the media.
Thank you, Minister Arian, for your opening remarks. I would now like to invite our Prime Minister Jacobs for opening remarks.
Oh, my mic is off. Been out for a few weeks. Thank you again, Mr. Labega. Thank you for standing in the gap for Rolika this morning. And good morning to you. Good morning to my colleague, Minister of Finance. I do believe another colleague is on his way. Good morning to the members of the media here present, and to, of course, to the people of St. Martin and those abroad following via or listening and viewing media. I, of course, as you know, recently traveled to the United Nations headquarters in New York to attend the high-level political forum, HLPF. I know that there was an extensive press statement on that, but we didn't really go into a lot of the side events that I was able to attend. Representing the Kingdom of the Netherlands, I know there was quite some hoopla about that, but the reality of our constitutional make-up is that of the Kingdom of the Netherlands, and of course, initially the recognition of Netherlands on the placard is how the UN sees it. In all subsequent discussions, however, they did use the proper elucidation of the full kingdom. I was proud to represent St. Martin as well as the other 3 Caribbean countries as small island development states, besides the roundtable, the ministerial roundtable, and giving the VNR report on behalf of the kingdom or the Caribbean part of the kingdom, the flagship event on climate adaptation, as well as the general statements made, gave us an opportunity, I think, for persons to also understand the reality of what our kingdom is made up of, and not just the Netherlands. There were many meetings held with different United Nations organizations discussing the challenges that we face as St. Martin, as a SIDS, and also on the progress being made within our dossier on the United Nations Development Development Goals. This also included St. Martin and I believe the other two islands supporting the idea of a multi-dimensional vulnerability index to be able to assist small islands in the possibilities of securing financing for projects and technical assistance. As you know, currently they only use the GDP, which is not helpful for small islands. So for me, it was a good moment to meet with several Caribbean partners as well as international ones and find opportunities to collaborate in the interest of St. Martin's ongoing development. In that train, the Ministry of the Interior and Kingdom Relations based at CA recently invited several representatives from St. Martin, Curaçao, and Aruba to evaluate the technical cooperation of the implementation process of the country reform measures, which we had agreed to. St. Martin's focus in these meetings was to reevaluate the country package with the objective to develop an overall national development plan. As you know, we've already started with a vision. We were able to align most of, if not all, but most of the reform measures within that. But of course, the goal is for us to get to a national development plan. So that is a goal right now coming out of the Ministry of General Affairs. And the exercise that we participated in created a framework for defining what are the realistic action points based on the objectives that we have moving forward. So we look forward to us even being better able to, let's say, craft the measures towards St. Martin's priorities and towards the realization of our development plan. As you know, quarterly points are established in the implementation agenda and report between St. Martin's technical team and the technical team of the Dutch government, which is known as the TWO. So we'll continue on that trend and, of course, keep the general public updated. But what is very, very important is for us to continue to juxtapose or align all our actions and indicate from here on in, not waiting for a report, how we are working towards the sustainable development goals of St. Martin. That is our goal, and this is something I'll be bringing to the Council of Ministers to also nuance in all their presentations, in all the actions that come forth, so that we are seeing where we're going toward the global goals for 2030. Of course, our residents are asked to remain vigilant as we are in a very active season. Continue to make good preparations, of course, including good hygiene, ensuring that you're getting healthy, etc. The COVID pandemic has not gone away. We're seeing globally also a rise. So be careful, be safe, continue to protect yourself and your family, and be prepared for any disaster that might come up. I will also like to mention that I was away, not just for the UN meetings, which took up the first week, but also on a personal leave during the second week, and was not able to quite follow all of the hoopla going on St. Martin. I've been back now for 2 days. I've taken some time to look at some of the media reports, including radio interviews and the like, and I must say that while I can see good intentions on both sides, I think it is a time for peace and calm, and for us to take the time to assess what our objective and our goal is here. We understand that opposition has their role to play, and everybody must be able to see what can and will be done, and look at a history a little bit to understand sometimes where we are going. I know that sometimes people feel attacked and will react. At the end of the day, we're all human beings. But I would like to give our minister, who is currently off island and arriving later today, the opportunity to further elucidate and clarify certain statements, because I believe what I saw, what I read doesn't necessarily jive 100%. And we also must be careful as a country in, this is more than once now, it's becoming a bit trendy to record, leak partial parts of the most interesting parts, I guess, of a recording. But I think if you're saying you're clarifying, you're doing an injustice to the people of St. Martin because they haven't heard the full story. So I believe the full story is yet to be divulged. I hope it will be done in a peaceful and calm manner, understanding that sometimes we are our worst enemy as people. And we talk about what others from outside are doing to us, but we must look at what we're doing to ourselves. We have many, let's call it checks and balances here on the island. I think the focus should be on the recommendations that have come out of the report of the Ombudsman and in how so far the ministry is addressing these reports, recommendations. We must also juxtapose that against all of the other issues that we're dealing with, most significantly that we are in a depressed economy and we are struggling as a country. And I think we must focus on ensuring that we can generate the necessary funding, in ensuring that we can get the people who are currently still not at 100% work to be able to do that and sustain themselves and their family, because my goal still and is remaining that we as a country can stand on our own, but we must be able to also highlight what is going well with the country. And we continue to survive in these difficult times. And I look forward to us contributing to that development. And so with that being said, I will end I forgot to mention, maybe it got skipped over. I was also updated while away that the final feedback was received by the media on the proposed policy. And so hopefully within short, that will also be finalized and publicized. Thank you for your attention. I look forward to any questions.
Thank you, Minister Jacobs, for your remarks, your opening remarks. We have been joined by the Honorable Minister of Public Health, Social Development and Labor, Minister Mar Atley, and we'd like to invite you for opening remarks.
Thank you, Mr. La Vega. It's good to be here. It's been a while. Good day to the members of the media, the viewing and listening public. I'll start today with some COVID statistics from July 17th to the 23rd. St. Martin has recorded 24 active cases, unfortunately 87 deaths, and 0 hospitalizations. The fact that we have 0 hospitalizations is a breath of fresh air. As I always state, even one is one too many. I would like to touch on monkeypox. On Saturday, July 23rd, the WHO declared monkeypox as a public health emergency of international concern. Global cases have surpassed 16,000 across 75 member states and territories. Unfortunately, there have been 5 deaths reported due to monkeypox. To date, there are no confirmed cases of monkeypox reported to CPS on St. Martin. We ask all to remain vigilant, remain up to date on the topics. As Minister of Health, I will do my best to update the population on the steps that we are taking and the new information of monkeypox as we are informed. The infection is passed mainly through close contact between people. Awareness to take the necessary preventative measures and to reduce catching the monkeypox are as follows. Limited close contacts to persons that you suspect are infected. Regularly clean and disinfect their environment. Keep yourself informed, in which we plan to do, but we also would ask for you to do your research. If you sneeze, cough, please take the necessary measures to protect yourself and others. Wash hands frequently. The airport health staff has also taken an informative session on monkeypox that was given by the epidemiologist at CPS. We also plan to do a refresher in this coming week. So that's another important point in which we have always said that a port health is to be established within St. Martin. We often too much focus on just the issues at hand and not the continuity of health care in St. Martin. Monkeypox is now the prime example. COVID, we're in the endemic nature, and here comes a new pandemic, the monkeypox, and you see that 5 deaths are recorded. We hope that we can keep St. Martin as safe as possible, and I pray that we have no deaths due to this new virus. The MOU signed with the Royal Caribbean Group remains active partnership, and the Ministry of Health And the NESC, National Employment Service Center, under my leadership, will continue to work with the Royal Caribbean Group to build further on this partnership. Many persons are seeking information on the number of jobs, the number of participants. This is being calculated between the NESC and the Royal Caribbean Group to gather the correct information on how many people not only participated, how many people showed up, and how many persons registered online. Because before the job fair, people had access to the online portal. Now, speaking of the job fair for the Royal Caribbean Group, I must say that it was quite disappointing to see the turnout in St. Martin at the job fair. Other countries, the line wrapped around blocks and blocks, and in St. Martin, I was very disappointed with the turnout. As Minister of Labor, and by extension this government, we can create opportunities, but we cannot force you to take the opportunities. So I look forward to these numbers as well, so that we can share with you, the media, but most importantly, the public of St. Martin, and hope that this can be an eye-opener. And I do pray and hope that the reason that the turnout was not as fruitful as I thought is that because we had many persons registering online. So it's important for me to get this information, and I will disseminate as soon as I do. I would like to touch on the maximum prices basket of goods. This will go into effect Monday. The MR was signed, and the stakeholders was notified, and it will go into effect on Monday. As you can see in the media today, the marketing contracts with the three have PR companies, Big Idea Advertisement, Diamond PR, USP has been signed. This was a preliminary, let's say, trial. The companies signed on with St. Martin, and that's why we noticed a major increase last summer. For the quote-unquote slow season, we saw major activities. These companies will target different demographics and different groups that we look forward to in St. Martin. So this will create a boost within our tourism. Another, on a good note, speaking of EHAS as well, as of August 1st, as announced, EHAS will provide an automated response to vaccinated persons traveling to St. Martin. So the idea is once you are vaccinated and everything checks out, you will receive an automatic pre-approval. Checks and balances will still take place upon arriving to St. Martin. So if your information is false or do not check out, you will be required to test. So I look forward to any questions from the members of the media. That's it from me today.
Thank you, Minister Hartley, for your remarks. Before we move on, those of you who have just joined us on radio or viewing media, welcome. You're listening to the press briefing of July 27th, 2022. I would now like to turn to the question and answering session and invite our first guest, E.B. Shaw.
Thank you, Arno, and nice seeing you after a long time. Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, ministers. My first question I'll ask to the Acting Minister of Romy. Minister Ardwell, I know this is not your ministry, but I believe you're up to date. You spoke about the Prince Bernard Bridge and the tour and the possible repairs that have to take place. If my memory serves me correct, Minister, a contract was awarded to Soaliga Infrastructure in 2017 for the repairs of the bridge. Can you tell us if the work on the for that contract, if it was completed? And can you also say if Earth Movers Contractor also submitted a bid in 2017? And who are the owners of these two companies, and where is Earth Movers registered? Where is the company, the business location of that company?
Minister?
Good morning again. Thank you for your question, Ms. Shaw. Yeah, I smiled because I also read that article in the media this week. It was sent to me a few times, actually. And we are going to verify if all what was said in the article this week checks out. But yes, I believe the contract was given to the company you mentioned, Swaliga Infrastructure. According to the article, it was given to the chief of staff of the then minister, and the concerns were brought to us, I would say, and these concerns will be looked into. In regards to the second, sorry, what was the second question?
The second part of the question is, in 2017, did another company by the name of Earth Movers Contractors submit a bid? If so, who are the owners of this company and where is it registered?
So I don't have any knowledge of the second company and where it's registered, but yes, I do believe when we looked at the documents recently, there were two bids. So one was Swaliga and one was the other company that you mentioned, I believe. We haven't verified who the other company is as yet, but this is, as I mentioned before, the concerns were brought forward, especially after the article came out, in regards to the companies. In addition to that 50% was paid out in advance. And I haven't been able to verify with the minister on if any works were done. Because I know we are doing a tender now, but I haven't verified as yet if any works were done. Because that would also mean that a tender went out to the principal, which was the chief of staff husband, and no works were done and so forth. So all of this has to now be verified, as I mentioned before, and it will be looked into.
Thank you. Ms. Hoffman, Daily Herald.
Thank you, Mr. La Vega. Prime Minister, a minister of your cabinet threatened a member of parliament in the presence of another member of parliament. This was on record, and everybody who could listen to Lady Grace, the broadcast, could hear it. From what you just told us, are we to conclude that you're not going to distance yourself from these threats?
I do believe I made it very clear what I said in my opening remarks, in that the minister should be given an opportunity to clarify what has been divulged in a partial, let's call it, in a partial, recording, which was made without his consent, firstly, which I think is a very dangerous precedent to set. And while the legalities of such an action have been mentioned, it is meant to be used in court. Now, definitely publishing it in this manner is not considered a legal act. And I did hear that the member of parliament in question is aware of that and is ready to face whatever that will bring. However, I think I mentioned that both gentlemen, I can see, let's say, intentions, good intentions on both sides. I think it has gone too far, but I will leave it to the minister to address the points in which he is alleged to have made any threats. I do not have the full recording, and I think it is very, it's way early to be making judgments on partial recordings that have been snipped for this purpose. The same way that happened the last time. I would like to have the benefit of the doubt of a person who's making a recording, cognizant of the fact that he is recording while the others are not in the room. So I think that in and of itself needs to be addressed as well. So I would hope that both gentlemen, who are both rising in the political field, would see the opportunity to make the necessary corrections as needed in this regard. What I feel about it, I will wait until I get the full picture before I make any such statements. But do rest assured that it has my attention.
Thank you, Minister. Mr. Brown of BCN TV.
Good morning to the people of St. Martin and the ministers that are present here today. Welcome back, Prime Minister, and also Mr. Utley, yeah? Question to the Prime Minister. Minister, while you, of course, you went to a trip, a meeting, a high-level meeting at the United Nations, Prime Minister. And while you are emphasizing stability, at home, there are words of destruction. Minister, when parliamentarian and minister make agreement when they swear in at the government office, there are certain agreement that they make. As I sought and came up with this understanding, the ombudsman do not have no personal problem with the Minister of Rumi. It's unfortunate, Minister, and again, you can speak as a Prime Minister, and there's a reason why you have been chosen so such a high-level meeting to speak, because you have the ability. And I know you're going to speak again on this note. So what I'm saying is not good for third party to actually personate the ombudsman as if there is a firing hatred behavior towards the between the ombudsman and the Minister of Rumi. Prime Minister, just clear the air again and again. You have spoke just now, but clear it again, as it is still it is pending.
Mr. Brown, thank you. But you're not asking a question, you're making a statement. You have a question? Okay,
Mr. Labega, I thank Mr. Brown for his statements made. I believe I've already made quite a statement on the proceeding. One thing I also mentioned in my opening statement, which maybe didn't get responded to, is that the recommendations within the report, I believe the ministry should be given the opportunity to respond to in the person of the minister, and that they will also come. Yeah?
Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Mr. Brown. I would like to give the opportunity to Mr. Andrew Dick, TV Carib.
Thank you, Mr. Labega. A question for, just a clarification for the Prime Minister as far as the national security aspect is concerned. Recording of a public official. I know you were very vocal about it during the last leaking of audio. So this time around, what is it possible for somebody to, of course, record, but then disseminate it publicly without having any type of consequences?
I believe I addressed that also, in that while the law allows you for legal purposes to record, it does not allow you to share that information publicly.
Thank
So
you for
this law is specifically to be used for court purposes. And I believe it came about based on an abuse case where a wife recorded her husband abusing her. The person was vrijgesproken, as they say. This happened in the Netherlands. And thereafter, the person murdered the wife. He was freed and he murdered the wife. The Netherlands adjusted the law, and that law was also adjusted in the Antilles that would allow recordings to be used in a court of law, whereby the judge gets to judge, hearing the entire recording as to whether there's guilt or innocence. So was that the case in this case? I do not think so.
Thank you for the clarification. Question for the Minister of Finance.
So, 1 second. I may be filling in, but I think I know the rules.
Nice try. That's a nice try.
You reserve your question for your second round, your opportunity in the second round. Okay, we're going to go over to the second round, and I turn it over to Bibi Shah.
Thank you, Arno. My question is for the Minister of VSA. Minister, a couple weeks ago, if not more than a month or so, a young lady lost her life in Backstreet. She was working in a store. I believe then you said an investigation was taking place. I'd like to know what measures were taken against the store owner, if any, especially knowing on the part where the woman, the worker that died, she had a domestic working permit and not a working permit for the store. I think all of this was part of your investigation. I'd like to know what measures were taken.
Thank you, Misha. Immediately an investigation went out. SZB sent the ATS team out. An investigation was done on the situation. I cannot divulge the person's medical information and what they really passed from. However, we did learn in the preliminary investigation that the person was insured, but with private insurance. So my question was, why private insurance? What was the person's salary? As you know, if you're making over a certain amount. I had questions about that. The work permits and rights of the other workers were checked to see who are working legally or illegally. So that information was already also divulged to the minister and the ministry. Specific actions were taken. I won't say that there were violations, but based on what we found, there's still some questions. I still have not, to be honest, got clarity on the reason that the young lady had private insurance. So I'm going to be 100% honest with that aspect of it. I did not get 100% clarity on that reason. And for you bringing up that question, I will have an answer for you next press briefing, or I can send it to you via email.
Thank you. The next question is from Ms. Hoffman.
Thank you, Mr. La Vega. For the acting Minister of Romy, when Minister Doran became Minister of Romy, Mr. Koutrouan was appointed as acting Secretary General. This was done by email. In the case of an acting Secretary General, the position, the Article 25 of the LMA is applicable. This article in short states that the appointment of the acting occupant of the position needs to occur by the competent authority, in this case being only the governor as the authority that signs national decrees. So the question is, was Mr. Rouan appointed by national decree?
Thank you for your question. Again, I'm just acting as Romy, so I wouldn't have that information available, but I'll pass it along to the cabinet and then look forward to getting an answer.
How long can somebody be acting?
I have to pass on the answer. I don't have the answer in front of me in terms of how long someone can be acting. I do know that we have persons acting for long periods of time. I came into government in 2014 and met five acting SGs for a long period of time. So I believe people could be acting for a very long period of time based on what I've seen.
Thank you, Minister. Mr. Brown, question?
Question to the Minister of Health. Minister of Health, as you mentioned, the danger of monkeypox and COVID. Minister, there's a strong order. Should be at least clarified together with these diseases, the dump. There's a strong odor. There's an odor that is detrimental by inhaling, Minister. It can do, I'm not a doctor, but it can do very, very much harm to people, Minister. What would you say? I mean, do you have any conversation about the odor that everyday people are passing and they're smelling this? It is terrible, Minister, and it's a health concern.
Thank you very much. Your question mostly falls under the environment, which is logically you would think it's under health, but it's not. It falls under Romy. I can answer you, but then I would be giving you my opinion. And this is not the forum for opinions. So then I know that the Minister of Romy is working on his plans for the dump. I know that he took business trips with Aruba. I know that Curacao came down and they had work group meetings on how they can best address the issue of the dump. So I will let him discuss his plans for the dump. Okay?
Thank you, Minister. Mr. Dick, your question?
Yes, thank you. Minister of Finance, the budget amendments, how far are we? Last time you gave an update. Just wanted to see the trajectory.
Thank you for your question. The budget amendments, I believe they are supposed to go this week, and then it goes on to Parliament. After I get confirmation, I believe the last place they were by Legal Affairs, I believe, and then it goes from there, it goes to Parliament. I'll have to confirm, but it should go out this week.
Minister, thanks. Given our availability of some time, we can go over to a third round of questioning. So I will open it to Bibi.
Thank you, Arno. We're checking our time also. My question is to the Prime Minister. Prime Minister, as the shareholder rep for NVG EBE, can you give us an update on the installation of the management board? Has the screening been completed for the CFO? And Prime Minister, I want to ask you specifically about the financials of NVGEBE, are you at all concerned about NVGEBE probably possibly going into bankruptcy? Are you at all concerned about NVGEB financials and they possibly going into bankruptcy, knowing the amount of money that they owe to the SOL for unpaid fuel? Are you looking at their overhead that they have and the fact that they have so many retainers that they have taken on, paying lawyers' fees for management candidates, and the money that they say they have on their account is just over 50 million. How long do you expect this money to last?
Thank you for the question regarding NVGEB as a government-owned company. I am the spokesperson for the Council of Ministers and a shareholder in this regard. We don't use the shareholder rep term, as you well know. The screening process has not been finalized, and once that is done, we will be able to share that information. I did not receive any final documentation as the one that communicates with the VDSM on this. As it relates to the financials, I was confirming with our Minister of Finance. While you were asking, as far as I know, we have the 21 financials, which hasn't necessarily brought any concerns forward, but I would follow up with the board on all of the other points that you've mentioned and ensure that if via the board and or management that an answer is provided. From a shareholder's perspective, we are still awaiting a meeting with GEBE to deal with several pending matters, and once that meeting has been held, we'll be able to update further.
Thank you, Prime Minister. We have a question. I can move on to Ms. Hoffman.
Thank you, Mr. La Vega. Prime Minister, I would like to address this question to you, although it's actually a question for the Minister of Romy, but as the Office of Disaster Management falls under General Affairs. A few weeks ago, or more than a month ago it was, the French firm Acrobatics held a presentation in Parliament, and they had mapped out the Dutch part of the island with all the dangerous situations in terms of possibility of landslides and loss of property and maybe loss of lives. This presentation was very alarming, and it was sent to the Minister of Romy, who hasn't reacted to it. So the question is, if you would, if you watched the presentation, if you received it, if you're going to, and yeah, what your reaction would be.
Thank you for the question. I'm not aware of the company in question, nor of the presentation made. I guess I wasn't following Parliament as diligently in terms of their internal meetings. As disaster management, we have had presentations of the topography of the island, looked at specifically the possibilities and the challenges where flooding is concerned on the island, the low-lying areas, etc., and of course, any let's say, erosion that will take place as a result of removal of a lot of trees which hold the earth together would have an effect. I haven't had a recent update on that, nor have I seen the presentation that you have alluded to. So I will follow up with the Office of Disaster Management to ensure that they take a look at it and give an advice as soon as possible. Thank you.
Mr. Brown.
Question to the Minister of Health. Minister of Health, the basket of goods. Can you make it plain, categorize it? Who likely to benefit from the basket of goods? Do you have a number of how much person? Because in the early time of the pandemic, there was some basket of goods that given out, and it did not went good. Some people get, and while others up to now did not get nothing. So just categorize it and how long it's going to be for.
Thank you, sir. I think we're talking about two different baskets of goods. The basket is not literally a basket of goods. It's a list of items, he's laughing. It's a list of items that we set a max price on for the community. It went from 12 to 72. Stuff was added as if, like, for instance, sanitary wipes for our women, diapers, specific brands. So it benefits everyone. What they did is take the most purchased items, and we then use the invoices from the companies to establish a maximum price. So to answer your question, everyone will benefit from this basket of goods. Everybody. You go to the shop, so you buy stuff, so it benefits you as well. I go to the shop, I buy stuff, it benefits me.
Clarification, it's a benefit across the board for all persons. Okay, thanks, Mr. Brown, for the question. Andrew Dick, any question?
Yes. The question is for the Prime Minister. Has there been a change to the airport supervisory board members? Or will there be one to appoint a new COO? Has there been a change to the supervisory board at the airport? And will there be one in place to appoint a COO?
I know that there were recent changes expected with off-trading of certain board members, and the discussion was ongoing, but it hasn't been finalized yet for the appointments. I think this would be one of the things that will be handled as soon as possible. As you know, during the holidays, scheduling of meetings does take is a bit difficult. So we hope that we'll be able to get those done within short in the month of August to be able to move forward. As it relates to what the board will then do, there are still also, I must say, some pending matters that they need to respond to in terms of holding management accountable for certain actions that have taken place over the past couple of months. So of course, as a shareholder, as shareholders, we look forward to receiving those reports, and those can also still be sent in the meantime. It doesn't have to wait on a particular member to be appointed, as there are members at the board currently.
Thank you. Honorable ministers, members of the media, radio listeners, viewers, we've come to the end of our Council of Ministers press briefing today, July 27th. And for a rebroadcast, you may tune into St. Martin Gov Radio via 107.9 FM, Telem's Tel TV Plus, the official Facebook page of the Government of St. Martin, YouTube channel Government of St. Martin, and TV 15. For video on demand, log on to the Government of St. Martin's YouTube channel. And on behalf of the Department of Communication and the Government of St. Martin, I'm Erno. It was a pleasure filling in for today's press conference, and I look forward to the next time I get the opportunity to do so. With that, have a safe day, everyone.